So Japan influences are still lying to you. From what I understand, this was a follow-up to one that she made before that I actually didn't watch, but I'm going to probably watch that later on.
Hey friends, it's Aki Dears, and today I'm going to be looking at some TikToks about Japan. I made this video before.
Yep,
let me just say
that's what I
this.
thought.
That video was in no way trying to bully anyone. I just think it's really funny as a local just to see what people from outside who...
It's not bullying somebody if you are creating something that is either stating certain facts or stating talking about misconceptions perhaps. So it's kind of more like clearing up if it is what I'm understanding she did.
Come to Japan, think that all of a sudden they're just this expert. I often see a reel that sounds like this. Here are 5 hidden gems you didn't know about Japan. Number 1, Mount Fuji. Did you know that you can hike on Mount Fuji in a group? Yes, I would have never thought that one of the most famous mountains in the world could ever possibly be a tourist trap. You mean that I can climb that? If you can find it just by typing Japan on Google Images, it's not a hidden gem. So yeah, that's what I mean. I found a few TikToks that kind of, to me, state the obvious. There's so much more to this culture. There's so many hidden gems.
Oh, there is definitely a lot of hidden gems. And if you really want to do something that's like more hidden, you really need to search up their traditional arts, maybe the traditional pottery. You have a, let me find it. It's called kinnoku, I think. Kintsugi. That's the one I'm talking about. So it's called kintsugi. This is a really, really cool one. Everybody knows about it probably, but like if you don't know about it, this is a little bit of information for you. It's like a golden repair. They repair it with gold because they believe that an older item can be more beautiful if it's repaired. And that's kind of like, that's the point of it. There's a lot of hidden things like that. Go watch traditional sumo, watch traditional things happening in Japan. Anything that's like small and hidden isn't going to be as available, especially in English, because if it's hidden, you probably need better search terms.
Like number 1, sapphire, emerald, ruby. Okay, I'm not funny. So let's get into it. Here are 5 hidden TikToks that you didn't know about Japan.
Do's and don'ts in Japan, part 1. Do say konnichiwa or konbanwa when greeting someone.
It's not just in every goddamn culture. In Norway, say hello when treating somebody. No, I'm not treating. Not when meeting somebody, say hello, god dag. Really?
Don't say ni hao to someone. That's Chinese. Ni hao.
What the fuck?
Ni haoを言うつもりだった。ビデオのためにスピニングスナップ。No.
I get it's for the memes, but that was probably helpful to someone out there. People actually think that like ni hao is probably Japanese.
I'm not sure if a lot of people do think that. I understand what she's saying, but I feel like a lot of people know konnichiwa because there's a lot of anime out there. There's a lot of like things like shows like Alice in Borderland on Netflix, and a lot of Japanese media is now infusing with the Western media. Chinese media, I feel not so much. They had their heyday with the Bruce Lees and the Jackie Chan. And the people like Jackie Chan. I feel like nowadays is the heyday of the Japanese media.
Anyone out there that still doesn't get the joke, let me just like make a version that will make that much easier in a way for you to understand. Here are do's and don'ts in America. In America, we say hello, not howdy. Chinese, different language. Japanese, different language. Cool? Awesome.
That's not a good example. Because howdy is also American. It would be more like don't say hola, like as in Spanish. But yeah, I get your point, because howdy is hello, so.
Don't know the difference of the writing styles? Chinese, a lot of kanji. Japanese, less kanji and a little bit more broken. Korean, the one with the circles.
So
yeah.
Are you Chinese or Japanese?
On to the next one.
10 things you should never do in Japan.
Part 2.
Don't black out at restaurants.
Okay. Why just
Isn't that something you shouldn't do in any country?
in Japan? Like,
Yeah.
Are you allowed to just black out in a new restaurant in America? I don't think so. Y'all
Nope.
need to follow this Instagram account called Shibuya Meltdown. It's a compilation of all of the drunk people in Shibuya.
I
I'm
thought he
from
was gonna
Las
break his
Vegas,
knee.
right? And I don't think I ever saw as crazy drunk people as I saw in Japan. Like, just go on that account. It is actually wild of what you will see.
10 things you should never do in Japan. Don't rush into the train.
How about I do anyway?
If you have a job at 9 a.m., I beg to differ. Here's a do or don't rule from me. If you're in Tokyo, don't go on the train between 8 a.m. or at 7 p.m. You're welcome. Those are
Makes sense. From all I've understood about Japan, makes sense.
rush hours. You don't want to get pushed like a sardine.
Don't walk in the middle of the stairs at temples. Don't
There's this rule when you go down a temple, you're not supposed to walk down the middle because that's where the gods are. But the image that you showed is in Asakusa, which is one of the biggest tourist traps anyway. I feel like they just gave up trying to tell people that. Like everyone, even Japanese people, are doing it. There's kind of like just that you follow the crowd and what they're doing, just do what the Romans do. But typically at a temple, no, you don't really walk down the center.
That's very interesting. I actually didn't know that. So let's find that out. How to visit a shrine. Bow slightly before entering the torii gate. So I guess that's to pay reverence to the gods. And keep in mind to walk on the side of the path to the shrine rather than in the middle. The middle path and the torii are for the gods, not for the humans. Cool. That's a very interesting fact that I absolutely didn't know. And I'm actually very happy I got to learn that.
don't forget to say arigato.
That's just saying thanks to
Don't
anybody.
forget
What the
to
hell?
say thank you. It's so cringe to hear in
Yeah,
the
it
AI
really is.
voice. I can't stand it. I'm gonna just tell you this right now. There's a lot of Japanese people, especially in Tokyo, that really want to practice their English and don't mind if you just say thank you. A lot of them kind of want to step outside of their comfort zone too. So especially if you're a tourist, they're already expecting that you probably don't know Japanese anyway.
Yeah,
just
makes
say
sense.
thank you. I don't know why that's just in Japan.
Yeah, I think it's, if you've ever gone to any Spanish-speaking country and you go there and you're like, oh my God, and you say gracias, and they go, oh, wow, gracias, mi amor, and they start like fucking blurting Spanish at you. You're like, oh my God, they just love that you're trying. So maybe Japan has something like that too, that some people love that you're trying. Maybe the older generation in particular love that you're respectful and try, but for sure, there will be people that want to learn English and will they thank you and understand that you don't speak the language. Just like if somebody goes to Norway and they don't say Norwegian words, I'm not going to go, oh, you're disrespectful to my culture because you don't speak Norwegian. No, that's just silly.
Man.
Where is the most favorite place in Japan?
Well, she's gonna say Harajuku Station, but
Yeah,
I would have never guessed it'd be Harajuku.
Harajuku for sure. Big inspiration for me, and I got to meet a lot of cool people in that area.
probably Shibuya.
Jesus Christ, have you noticed that she actually basically has like panties on here? There's no underwear. Like, look at this. This is nothing. There's no clothes here.
In general, yeah. I really like Shibuya. It's more my vibe.
I love that they literally like look like Shibuya and Harajuku. Shibuya's like the cool and trendy vibe. Harajuku's like the bright, crazy fashion. So it's funny how it really matches both of these guys.
How hard is it to travel Japan with zero Japanese?
I feel like people are very accommodating if you don't speak it.
A lot of Japanese people, I feel like, want to learn English just as much as you want to learn Japanese. And I feel like you guys can definitely like communicate in those areas. I mean, they're the most touristy spots in the world. It's only if you go into the countryside where you're pretty hopeless, to be honest. And
But it would be nice to be in the countryside. I'm not arguing her. I'm just saying it would be nice to be in the countryside and actually be forced to speak Japanese or forced to learn as much as you possibly can and try to Google Translate and try to communicate with people. Itadakimasu, just any word that could mean something to them, and they would try any words that could mean something to you. And I've been traveling to different places where I couldn't speak the language, and there's been some incredibly great human connections I've had, especially in Brazil, where people couldn't speak English very well, and I couldn't speak Portuguese very well. I had Google Translate friends. We Google translated things and tried, but that's many years ago, so it was a good time.
in which case, if you do, you definitely should learn Japanese. But I understand that it's not very easy to learn something like Japanese when you're not in Japan. I mean, unless you're terminally online, there are ways to navigate through Japanese-only websites and teach yourself, because I can just do that right now. I'm going on this news website right now, and I could literally just show you that it can break down the grammar for me. Same thing on Netflix. I have this Google Chrome extension thing, and I can pause the episode right now, look at a word that I don't know, and see how it works in a sentence. This Chrome extension is actually called Migaku, which is the sponsor of this video that is perfect for anyone trying to learn a language.
Perfect.
It's
Let's
a great
jump
tool
over
for
this.
immersing
If you want to
yourself
have
in
it,
video.
Migaku.
In Japan, we do.
Yeah. There are some practices in Japan that I would just call what we say mendokusai, which means I can't be fucked. In
Annoying.
America, we do that, where there's like one piece of fry left, and it's just like, oh, do you want the last one? Like, we keep it really casual. But in Japan, you go through literally like everyone in your group asking like who wants it, and then nobody wants to be the one to take it. I did this so many times that I just couldn't wait anymore. So like, I kind of do this thing where I just silently take it and no one says anything. Is it rude? I don't know,
But it's hard because if every single social norm is like about not being rude, you'll end up being rude anyway to some degree. Like, I have a lot of Japanese friends, and I don't think they in particularly think I'm rude, but they definitely think I'm direct as fuck. And that is true. Northern Norwegians are really direct. And some of them are really refreshed by it, and some of them might, I think, sometimes think that I'm too direct.
but it doesn't ruin their day. They're my friends. I'm at a hangout. Like, I can't imagine losing a friend because I took the last piece of chicken. But yes, this is a thing that we do, and it's one of those things in Japanese culture that I just find very just tedious and annoying a little bit.
Packing tips you need for Japan. Try to come with only one check-in suitcase because it's much easier to navigate in and out of.
That ain't happening. It's like the stereotype. If you're visiting Japan, chances are you're going to be leaving with like at least 2 other suitcases.
Make sure to.
That's kind of nice. I like the fact that I know there's a lot of good quality electronics over there, a lot of cool instruments, incredibly nice. I think it's called a gourd, if I'm not mistaken, like a ceramic drinking thing. I think it's a gourd. Yeah. Well, I mean, they look like gourds, but like, yeah, they look like these ones. There you go, a gourd sake bottle. There's just so many amazing things, especially in the more independent arts and in the music there. I think I would come home with a few extra suitcases, yeah, for sure.
Get a top opening suitcase. Because hotel rooms in Japan are small and you'll find clamshells take up more space. Pack light and don't.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, but you're not stupid. I'm sure there's a way that you can navigate through a hotel.
Like take it on the bed, or maybe do it in the hallway, or something that's not in the corner.
And open up your bag.
Bring a coin purse because you'll be collecting a lot of coins for vending machines, gacha, arcades, and crane games.
You are going to hate coins so much. You're going to be building that up. And if you don't want to carry them back with you, I'll be happy to take it off your hands.
This is what not to do with your hands in Japan. First off, don't eat with your hands.
Don't flip people off. Don't punch people. Don't Johnny Somali this. Like all the things not to do with your hands.
Do you come from a country where eating with your hands is normal? In Japan, it's actually considered rude, although it can depend on the food. So for example, sushi can be considered acceptable, but rice and curry is a big no. And then there are other options.
I think everyone in the world knows how to use a spoon and fork. I mean, it's a helpful rule. It's just, I don't think I needed a TikTok to like learn that.
The one thing I will actually say here in this position is that a lot of Africans eat with their hands, and a lot of them don't necessarily think about social norms like that, because they use spoon, like the fingers, like almost like a spoon, right? So to be eating like this, kind of. And it depends on what type of African, but like my other side of the family is from Djibouti, and they eat like almost like they spoon it and they eat it, and they can like mix and spoon, and you sit and eat with your hands a lot. So I can actually understand. I actually think this is one of the more helpful tips, especially for certain people that don't maybe necessarily know how to use chopsticks, or think that they have some sort of let's just say they have a problem with understanding that not every Western country eats with their hands.
We all know how to use a fork and spoon, right?
From somebody. Always use 2 hands, as this is considered polite and respectful. This is especially for cards and gifts. Also
says to use 2 hands, and yet she's using 1 in this. I only semi-recently started trying to grab things with 2 hands. It really depends on the object.
Makes no sense.
But if it's like an ice cream, I'll just grab it with 1 hand.
But also, if you have big hands, it's very difficult. I am going to hold you this with both hands like this here. Oh, that just makes no sense to me. Like, but you can do this, of course, but like my hands are already kind of too big for this cup. So it's like, if I hold it with 1 hand, that's fine. But if I hold it with 2 hands, like it just kind of looks like I need a larger cup for that. So I'd have to have specialty made equipment. And I'm sure that things are even smaller in Japan, because I don't think that most people are 6 feet and a bit bigger.
Like, honestly, who cares?
And when you're greeting a local, don't shake their hands or hug them, and instead bow. The act of bowing in Japan has so many meanings, as it could be used to say hello, thank you.
Here's the reality of it. If you're a tourist, unless you're going to something very formal like a business meeting, I honestly cannot think, for a tourist, a single time where you're going to have to bow. A simple head bop, this thing, is all you're going to need. For me, the only time I've ever bowed in Japan was meeting someone higher up than me, and that was usually at a business meeting.
So yeah, basically, in business meetings, that makes a lot of sense, because they have different words for people in a higher ranking. So you go like chan, san, sama, dono. So yeah, you have like a different way of talking to people and giving honorifics to people that are of higher grade and rank than you. So I'm assuming that would be the same with body language as well. Because I know it is in the old samurai times, certain people, depending on rank, had to sit closest to the door in case of an attack. So I think the highest ranking member had to sit or could sit, like, let's say the door is over there and the table has multiple spots on the inside, as far in, and they could see the door, so that they wouldn't be like slashed down first. So it's very interesting when it comes to even table manners over there.
But if you're a tourist, I can't really think of a single time you really need to do it.
Every company in Japan, they have to weigh their employees.
Yeah.
Everybody has
That
to have
sounds
an
like
average
bullshit
weight.
for some reason.
And if the average weight increases, I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
If it increases, that company gets fined by the government.
Bullshit?
Yeah. That sounds like bullshit.
Bullshit.
That's in really old companies though. So all my friends work for a Japanese company, almost all of them. None of them have gone through this. None of them had any issues, and they're all foreigners. The majority of them don't meet the Japanese standard of what skinny is.
So they fat.
I'm not going to tell you what it is because even I don't know, but it's a very high standard, and most foreigners don't even meet that standard.
These people don't do that shock foreigners. Number one, holding the door open for others. Foreign tourists have an image that Japanese people are very polite. So imagine their surprise when Japanese people don't hold the doors open for those.
So I'm a foreigner. I do this anyway. One, because I was raised to do that. And two, I've never thought of a situation where someone held the door for me and it ruined my day. I do this purposely, honestly, just to give Japanese people a little bit of a different experience.
In Western countries, it's general etiquette to open the door for people behind you, but it's uncommon in Japan. I think the reason why is that there are so many people in congested areas like Tokyo that if you hold the door open for everybody, you'll get nothing else done that day. Number two.
Well, come on, we all know our limits. If there's 30 people in, yeah, I'll probably just leave the door open as I'm walking in. And I do like seeing their reactions when they're not used to it, because it's yeah, this is my culture, I do this. And again, I don't think I can think of a situation where I hold the door for somebody and it ruins their day. If it does, then I don't know what to tell you, man.
2, honking. If you spent any time in Chicago or New York City, you'll hear so many car horns you'd think.
Well, this happens in every road raging environment. You should have heard in Spain around I don't remember what the big roundabout was, but Jesus Christ, people are angry. Holy crap, they're like, meh, 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 meh.
People are getting paid $1 per honk. But listen to this.
No, dude.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's going to happen everywhere. It just makes no sense because humans are always going to get angry.
There's a lot of honking in Japan.
Japan is one of the best countries on earth, but I'm tired of hearing all these YouTubers and influencers give you stupid advice of what to do when visiting Japan. Things like going to the bank to get cash. You don't need to do that. You can literally go to any 7-Eleven, use your own bank card, and pull out money there. However, most places just take card anyways. I only went to one place that took cash only, and it was the dentist. Also, getting a Metro card. Don't do it. Just get the Suica app, however you want to say it. You can pretty much just use Apple Pay, allowing you to tap in and out of the subway easily.
That's kind of the same as here in the Netherlands. You don't actually need to get there's something called an OV card, and you get that card and you can kind of beep and go in and out, but you can actually just use your contactless nowadays. So most people actually don't need an OV card unless you need some sort of rebates or something, or you're a student, in which case you absolutely should.
Yeah.
Also, if you're just visiting, you do not need to know Japanese at all, except for the phrase sumimasen, which just means excuse me or I'm sorry. It's really useful for asking for directions or if you just need a little help with something.
If you're just visiting, you probably don't need that much Japanese. Sumimasen is really like the way to go. But let me just give you an extra tip here. From a lot of Japanese people, they actually say that foreigners are saying sumimasen too often. You only need to say it one time and then that's it. Number 2, daijoubu desu. That's also your green card. Daijoubu desu. It means I'm okay, I'm alright, I'm fine.
大丈夫だってばよ Every time Naruto we get beaten. 大丈夫だってばよ私の名前はナルトですよね大丈夫だってばよ
Fine. It goes with anything. It ends the conversation as well, which is great.
daijoubu.
You don't know what anyone is saying. Would you
Also,
like
pro tip here, if you wanna say that you agree to something and you wanna use slang, say dokan. Dokan this. You'll have the Japanese gooped and gagged baby. They'll be like, at least it happened every time I used it.
bag? Daijoubu desu. Would you like me to heat this up? Daijoubu desu. TikTok
Yeah, you don't need it.
and Reels
Iranai.
about what you should or shouldn't do in
Daijoubu.
Japan
Iranai.
has
I
given
don't need
so
it. So iranai means I don't need it. Fine. So you got daijoubu. Iranai.
much anxiety. I feel like I see foreigners that are just so still. They don't know if they can do anything. And it's like, come on, man. Like, yes, there's a lot of rules in Japan, but nobody's expecting you to follow every single one of them. And again, it's not like you're going to get banned from the country. It's not like you're going to lose your visa. If anything, I think the ones that should be more stressful about rules are foreigners that live in Japan. Also, I wanted to save this for the end of the video, but a lot of you probably may realize that there used to be a cage back here and it's no longer there. Flurry is no longer with us. She actually passed away a couple of days ago and we buried her onto my balcony, so she is no longer going to be popping up. I'm okay, and I was expecting it for a while, and I decided to not really make like a whole video on YouTube. I'm just gonna throw it in here, but yeah, there may be another little hamster next year once I'm ready to get one. But yeah, so if anyone just is wondering why there is no cage, that's why. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed.
大丈夫です I need to like and subscribe, please. 大丈夫